so they don't need to be here.
The Prime Minister out in plain sight for the first time in days.
So you see it looks like something from outer space, but really it's the optic nerve.
But the optics around him are terrible, and the nerves visible from a man now under serious pressure.
Then you send the results of the scan.
On a tour of a hospital today, the result he's waiting for is the outcome of Sue Gray's investigation into lockdown parties at Downing Street. The revelations keep coming, and the latest from his former top advisor turned foe, Dominic Cummings, accusing the PM of lying about what he knew, is significant. He is on the record saying under oath, you are lying, that you were warned about this event and you went ahead anyway, that you knew that it was dodgy.
Categorically, that nobody told me and nobody said that this was something that was against the rules, that was a breach of the COVID rules, or we were doing something that wasn't a work event, because frankly, I don't think, I can't imagine why on earth it would have gone ahead or why it would have been allowed to go ahead. My memory of this event, as I've said, is going out into the garden for about 25 minutes for what I implicitly thought was a work event.
Dominic Cummings was your closest advisor, and he said he verbally warned you about this. Is he lying?
I can't believe that we would have gone ahead with an event that people were saying was against the rules or against...
But you're not saying he didn't warn you. You're then not saying he didn't warn you.
And nobody warned me that it was against the rules. I'm absolutely categorical about that, because I would remember that.
OK. So if Sue Gray uncovers a different version of events and it emerges you did mislead Parliament, will you resign?
We'll have to see what she says. And I think that she should be given the space to get on and conclude her inquiry. And I would urge everybody who has knowledge of this and understand, memories of this, to tell her what they know.
Some of your MPs and members of the public think that this is your Barnard Castle moment, that the idea that you walked into the garden, there's 40 people there, the tables are laid out with food and drink and there's alcohol being served in the middle of a lockdown, and you think that's a work event. That is just ludicrous, isn't it? You are just taking the mickey out of the British people by suggesting that. You know how silly that sounds, don't you?
I think what people need to do is wait and see what the report says. But I repeat my deep apologies to people for mistakes that may have been made on my watch.
But you see that looks ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous.
I repeat my apologies for any and all misjudgments that were made, for which I take full responsibility.
One misjudgment that really hurts: the apology to Her Majesty the Queen over parties allegedly held in Downing Street the night before Her Majesty sat alone at the funeral of her husband. This is the first time we've seen you since reports emerged, not denied by Downing Street, about 2 boozy parties held in the garden, in the buildings of Number 10, the night before Prince Philip's funeral, when the country was in national mourning. Was having to apologise to the Queen about those parties the night before she put her husband of over 70 years, she laid him to rest. Was that a moment of shame for you?
I deeply and bitterly regret that happened, and I can only and renew my apologies both to Her Majesty and to the country for misjudgments that were made and for which I take full responsibility.
Do you think you can recover from this? You might be able to survive, but can you recover? Your polling is terrible. The public think you should go. Your MPs are in revolt. 6 of them have publicly said you should resign.
Beth, I understand people's feelings, and I understand why people feel as strongly as they do about this issue. I repeat my apologies for what happened, and I'm heartily sorry for misjudgments that were made in Number 10.
Boris Johnson is known for his boosterism, his bravado, his brashness. But today, that politician was gone, replaced by a man who's downcast and defeated. This, then, a Prime Minister who's perhaps facing up to the prospect that his time in Number 10 is coming to an end, and none of this happening on his terms.
Mr Dowden, did Mr Cummings warn the Prime Minister about the party?
His top team had spent the day trying to put a brave face on it.
Did the PM know about the party, Mr. Rao?
But it's hard to know whether it's a smile or grimace from the deputy PM, the chief whip with the spin.
Mr. getting us out of the pandemic faster than any other country as a era.
But the man who lives next door and might have ambition to move into number 10, more circumspect. Listen to what the Chancellor says when asked if the Prime Minister should resign if he's found to have lied to Parliament.
Well, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. The ministerial code is clear on these matters. But as you know, Sue Gray is conducting an inquiry into the situation. I think it's right that we allow her to conclude that job. And you support Thanks very much. Thanks.
Sorry, Dad. You want to try lying down on this one?
No.
No, I'm not allowed to lie down. No, all right, fair enough.
You can't blame him for wanting to lie down. But right now he's in the most acute fight of his political life and wondering whether he can hang on. Beth Rigby, Sky News.